Today on CityCast Nashville, it's a big week for pop star news, from an act of kindness to a presidential endorsement that drove an uptick in voter registration. We're also going to get to the bottom of Nashville's car break-ins and talk about Nashville Volunteer Week coming up. I'm joined by executive producer Whitney Pastrek and producer Marie Cecile Anderson. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tecovas. And hey, stay tuned for our Tecovas Don't Go Gently tip for this weekend at the end of the show. It's Friday, September 13th. I'm your host, Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Good morning, ladies. How are you guys doing?
Fabulous. How are you?
Marie stayed up all night watching the VMAs.
That's totally fair. What was your favorite outfit?
I mean, I'm so sorry. Always. I'll give you one guess.
Could it have been Taylor Swift? I mean, I feel like Chappell Roan is the obvious answer, but is it Taylor Swift?
It was Taylor Swift,
Okay.
just because it was just completely madness. But yes, Chappell Roan also. The fact that Chappell Roan had a knight carrying her sword on the red carpet.
It's
hardcore.
iconic.
That's the sword she's been using to fend off the ticket scalpers at her concert in Franklin.
Why, yes. I had a friend actually get those requested tickets. I'm so jealous. It's crazy. She posted a screenshot of the email, and I was like, I am going to freak out.
I was convinced I was going to be chosen.
Oh, my God.
Alas.
Well, speaking of Taylor Swift is in the news.
Yeah.
What is going on with Taylor Swift, Marie?
Well, as we know, we all watched the presidential debate this week. You can have your own thoughts about it. But immediately after our childless cat lady posted, I think one of the most eloquent, empowering captions to an Instagram post I've ever read. And because of her endorsement of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, there's been an uptick of voter registrations, because as soon as she posted it, she then put it on her stories along with a voter registration link.
Yeah, so she was driving people to vote.gov, and the General Services Administration, which is the federal agency that runs that site, has reported that she drove over 400,000 users to visit the site through that one post.
That's so crazy. Has there ever been something like that where it drove that much voter registration in that short of a period?
I don't know the answer. I do know that the last time she's done something like this in 2023, they're reporting she urged her fans to sign up at vote.org, and more than 35,000 people did.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many of that, close to 400,000 people who clicked through on Tuesday actually registered. But if they did, that is a significant uptick in probably a demographic that doesn't usually vote. I think it's awesome. And I also think that her cat is very cute.
Benjamin Button.
Is that its name? That's
Yes.
its name. I know her other two were named after TV stars. Somebody on Blue Sky was like, does anyone know the name of that cat? And I was like, I know it is not Olivia or Meredith, because those are Scottish folds.
Oh my God. Amazing.
And then did she tell people to vote on the VMAs last night too?
She did as well. She made it so cool because she did it so seamlessly. She thanked the fans for voting for her. And then while you're at it, vote for the presidential election coming up.
That's
It was
awesome.
just so seamless. And she started off her speech by just acknowledging September 11th, which I thought was very classy.
That is very classy. She's a classy gal. My favorite detail is that the Harris campaign had no idea it was happening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if y'all saw Tim Walz he was on Rachel Maddow right after the debate, and she was like, wait, I have news for you. And she read the whole post to him, and he was so clearly overwhelmed and emotional about it. I mean, I sort of thought it was going to happen. She did endorse Phil Bredesen here in the Senate race against Marsha Blackburn pretty famously in her Miss Americana documentary. Is that the name of it? I know so much more about Taylor Swift than I think. And then she also endorsed Congressman Jim Cooper in 2018. And that led to one of my favorite quotes of all time, where Lisa Quigley, who was Jim's chief of staff at the time, called him and was like, Taylor endorsed you. And he was like, oh, that's nice. And then he called Lisa back and was like, my daughter is telling me that this is a big deal. So I guess I should be more appreciative.
I love it.
Oh my God.
Well, I think that we're all waiting now to see if she's actually going to publicly endorse Gloria Johnson against Marsha Blackburn.
Against
So
Marsha. She is
I
no
think
fan
she
of
will.
Marsh.
I think she will. Hear it first on CityCast Nashville. I think she will publicly endorse. So
I would
hold me.
absolutely trust your Taylor Swift instincts over virtually anybody else's.
I have a problem.
Well, I know that VMAs just happened, and that's very exciting. But we also have something to talk about with somebody snubbed by the CMAs.
Snubbed.
How do you guys feel about Beyonce not getting a nomination for Cowboy Carter?
I'm not surprised by it, honestly.
Really?
Y'all might not know this out there in podcast land, but I worked in country music for over a decade and am pretty familiar with how things work over there. So I'm not surprised, but I am, of course, terribly disappointed. It seems like that would have been a pretty easy chance for them to do the right thing and then pat themselves on the back, which I know that the country music industry does love to do.
Who votes for the CMA Awards?
It's a trade association within country music. There's two of them. It's the Country Music Association and the Academy of Country Music. That's the ACM Awards, which is the other awards show. And members vote. Essentially, they get a list of every song and artist and album and whatever that qualifies. And it goes through rounds of ballots. And Billboard actually reported this week that they saw a screenshot of the second ballot round, and Texas Hold'em, which is one of the Cowboy Carter songs, had not made it out of the first round.
Huh. Do you think that the CMAs and the folks that are voting on this are generally resentful of this wave of hip hop pop stars who are putting out country albums?
No, they love it.
You think so?
It's making them money, big money. Oh my gosh. That's how they keep it going.
Even if they're not going to play it on all of their stations?
They are playing it, though. I think that's the thing. Like, Post Malone is not having any trouble having his music played.
Do you think it's because she's a Black woman specifically that this is snubbed?
Country music has had no problems with hip hop dating all the way back to Nelly collaborating with Florida Georgia Line on Cruise. Even Jason Aldean has attempted to rap. But the minute you get a situation like Old Town Road, where the Lil Nas X version can't be played, but we're all fine with having Billy Ray Cyrus around. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Lil Nas was at the VMAs. Baby's back.
What was he wearing?
He had a alien hat that he wore, like a spaceman.
We'll put this particular topic to bed by me saying I have a lot of wonderful friends who work in the country music industry, and I know that there are a lot of great people who work in that business who are trying very hard to move the needle on this for years, specifically people like Leslie Fram, Beverly Keel, Tracy Gershon, who've been working with Change the Conversation. I'm exhausted by the fact that even Beyonce can't get the conversation to change. And that to me is just deeply, deeply disappointing. But let's talk about good news. Still
sad news, though. But yes, let's talk about...
I think it's happy, kind of. Bon Jovi said, "Take my hand and you'll make it, I swear," to a woman who was teetering on the edge of the pedestrian bridge this week in Nashville. He literally walked over and talked a woman off the edge of the pedestrian bridge and presumably stopped her from jumping. And I think that that is beautiful, honestly. I don't know anything about her circumstances or how she got there. But, you know, as Chief John Drake of MNPD said, it takes all of us to help keep each other safe. And I just sometimes question how often people are really looking out for each other. He was there because he was shooting a music video.
Yeah. The cool thing about it, which is not cool really, is that there are so many people who are willing to walk past something like this. And then the idea that John Bon Jovi is like, I think the story is that his assistant was talking to her and then he saw them and came over and started talking.
If you watch the surveillance footage from on the bridge, you can kind of see both of them sort of do a take and walk over. And it does look like his production assistant starts the conversation, but then he kind of leans in. I read an interesting story this morning that he's actually been trained in trauma response because of some of the charitable work that he does with his foundation. And the other cool thing I want to point out, you know, that pedestrian bridge is named the John Siegenthaler Pedestrian Bridge because broadcast journalist John Siegenthaler saved somebody from committing suicide on the same bridge decades ago. So that's why they named the bridge after him. So will it be the John Bon Jovi Bridge now? Probably not.
I think Bon Jovi would be okay with it not being the John Bon Jovi Bridge.
It's fine. He's got a honky tonk.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, you can always call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. There's help available 24 hours a day. All right, admit it. It's time to replace your not-so-trusty old boots. You know the best place to shop for quality handcrafted men's and women's boots is at your local Tacova store, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by the Ryman. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from, so stop by and grab a cold one as you peruse. Tacova's Nashville is at your service. It's always a challenge to find boots that fit well and can survive a night walking around town. but you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of Tecova's expert staff. Your new Western boots can elevate a casual look or add a refined flair to any outfit. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tecovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. We have to talk about some car break-ins here. I would just love to know what's going on here. Marie?
Well, so this week I got an alert on my Ring app on my phone. Probably most Nashvillians, if you have a Ring camera, you got the same alert. But the alert came up, it said Nashville, park smart. And then it read that the MNPD strongly encourages Nashvillians to lock their automobile doors, secure any valuables, especially guns, and remove the keys. And then they listed these statistics. So far this year in Nashville, 621 guns have been stolen from vehicles. 17 were taken from cars just last week. And the total number of guns stolen this year in Davidson County is 865, which means that 71% of guns stolen so far in 2024 have been taken from cars. This is just a common thing across Nashville, and it has been for a long time. And then, so I got that alert, but then I saw a post on Instagram from xplr.nash of, in broad daylight, a video of car break-ins that happened in the Gulch. And it was just window after window broken into. I don't know exactly the amount, but it was like a number of cars broken into with their windows smashed in broad daylight.
Yeah.
I think this is a conversation that my neighbors, we have this conversation going all the time because we have a lot of break-ins within our community. I actually witnessed a break-in a couple months ago. I was sitting on my patio and I watched these two guys start smashing windows and grab, they just grab whatever they can. But specifically, a lot of people are looking for guns.
Yeah.
And so I think that opens up this bigger conversation of why are we leaving our guns in cars? I don't have a gun, but why? Why
people are leaving their guns in their cars in Tennessee because of our incredibly gun-friendly state. So in Tennessee, we observe the castle doctrine, which basically is a version of stand your ground that says if somebody makes you feel in any way unsafe in your home, at your business, or within your vehicle, you have a right to use deadly force. That's why people keep guns in their cars.
Is that a Tennessee specific law, the castle? Because I've never heard of this.
There are a lot of states that have it, but it's a big thing here. And it's a big reason why we do have that specific guns in cars problem is that your car is an extension of your house. And so if you feel like you want to have a gun in your house, you can have a gun in your car. I do want to emphasize for people who are maybe newer to town, and I have this conversation with my neighbors over here in East Nashville a lot too, Marie, that this makes people feel very unsafe. And I can understand why. And at the same time, I think you have to realize they're not trying to steal your car. They're not trying to harm you. These criminals who are breaking into cars, they are literally looking for guns and anything of value. So you need to make your car look as crappy as possible.
And I do a great job of that.
Me too.
Do you want to steal my coffee cup from 2 weeks ago?
I have all my recycling. Take my recycling and please recycle it.
Why, yes. A CityCast Nashville tote.
All the times that I've gone out and found my car's been rolled, it's like dog poop bags everywhere, tampons flung around. I'm like enjoy yourselves.
Literally enjoy. Enjoy my glove box that has toilet paper in it. Have fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But so apparently there's enough of a cost-benefit analysis there that they're getting enough out of breaking into these cars that it's worth it.
It is crazy that it's a high enough percentage of people with a gun in their car that this is worth doing.
Well, this leads to, so the Nashville Banner actually had an article this week about the fact, crime is, it was in the debates, obviously, talking about the rise of crime in America and stuff. And actually, the truth is crime is down, believe it or not. And it's down in Tennessee, which I think we should hold close to our hearts and know this. But as we go into this election, I think it's really important, and this article states this, is that, the candidates running, our local candidates, how much effect do they have with their policies in gun reform?
Well, Marie, I know you did some research into what some of these candidates' positions are. What do we know about the folks in Tennessee House District 60? And that's out in Old Hickory, Donaldson, Hermitage. That's that very contested local state house seat.
Yes. So the Republican candidate, Chad Bobo,
Son of a retired bullet maker.
Great name.
Opposes policies that would create requirements or punishments for people who, for instance, leave a gun in their unlocked car. So that's something that is up for debate, is that who should be to blame? If, it's complicated.
It is. But it goes back, like, do you think parents of school shooters should be indicted for aiding and abetting that by giving their 14-year-old a gun?
I think that is a really complicated question.
I know.
I do think safe
So
storage is something that should be something you're responsible for. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that Democratic candidate, Shondell Brooks, supports safe storage laws, and that would totally reduce the number of guns stolen out of cars because they'd be locked away in a safe place.
Yeah. What an idea. And of course, we know what Marcia thinks. Marcia thinks this is just about those crime-in kids.
Right. And Gloria Johnson supports universal background checks, safe storage, and wants to keep guns from dangerous people. But Gloria Johnson, she proudly states that she is also a gun owner. And she understands that we want to protect our families, but we also have to have these necessary laws.
Yeah.
So, again, everybody, I would highly recommend reading this article from the Nashville Banner. I do think it's interesting. And then obviously do your research like Taylor Swift says. Do your research.
Make your own decisions.
And then, and vote November 5th for the candidates that have your best interests at heart.
And if you're not already registered, you have until October 7th to do that here in Davidson County. We'll put that link in the show notes.
You can also register for an exciting thing going on next week, which is Nashville Volunteer Week. It's by Hands On. If you guys are familiar, it's kind of like
we love Hands On Nashville.
Hands On
They're
Nashville,
awesome.
an excellent way to find volunteer opportunities. We also have a fantastic article that our newsletter editor, Margaret Kingsbury, wrote on opportunities to volunteer around Nashville in general, but specifically this week, September 14th through 21st, you can sign up for any volunteering opportunity through the end of the year with Hands On and be entered to win prizes. They're actually kind of cool ones. I know you normally expect some kind of stinky swag bag. I think that there's there are swag bags that have actual gift cards. There is a mini autographed hockey stick, NSC tickets. Hopefully you're not exclusively volunteering for NSC tickets, but I understand if it's an incentive. So basically, you literally just sign up for anything through the end of the year. I'm glad that they clarified that on the website, because when I first looked into it, I thought that you had to volunteer this week. And honestly, all the spots were taken. There were wait lists for the things that I was able to do.
There's some super cool opportunities if you go. We'll have the Hands On Nashville link in the show notes. You can click through to that too. But there's some super cool opportunities. I'm looking just at September 29th. You can wake up in the morning. You can help volunteer at the Golden Pheasant Triathlon in Shelby Park, which is an awesome event where people kayak and then ride bikes and run on the Greenway. It's so fun. There is Madison Farmers Market setup, which I think that sounds very nice to go help set up a farmer's market. There's the National Banana Pudding Festival.
Love.
They need volunteers to assist with parking, sell pudding, set up tables, greet visitors, and assist with food cleanup, which I'm pretty sure that means you get free banana pudding. So it's not just if you sometimes feel like I want to volunteer, but sometimes I get bummed out with the thought of, people who are struggling and that makes me not want to do it. There are also some super fun community driven ways to help out on this calendar.
I've honestly been also thinking about some of the opportunities that are mentorship ones, because I love kids and I think that's cute. And I could help you with your math homework. So I've been considering that kind of stuff. The thing is that you can search on Hands On by who you want to help. So if there's a specific population or a specific cause that's really meaningful to you, you can filter by that and look at the volunteer opportunities that are specifically exciting to you. Also, I think one thing that sometimes keeps me from volunteering is that a lot of times the locations to volunteer are far away from me. Often it's a 40-minute drive. But again, you can put in your zip code on Hands On and find stuff that's by how close it is to you, which is helpful. So definitely check it out. You can also go to the launch party at Centennial Park on Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. to noon to connect with some of the local nonprofits and the folks at Hands On, clean up Centennial Park, and sign up for your volunteer opportunities. So if you're free on Saturday, go hang out.
It's going to pour.
Okay.
but
well,
still go.
We'll see. Maybe it'll be lovely.
I'll do a rain dance. Don't
Yes.
worry.
Marie, reverse the rain
Reverse
dance
it.
that you did. No, we need the rain. I know. I don't love the idea that it's going to be raining all weekend, but my goodness, it's bad out there.
I'm excited for it to rain all weekend, to be honest.
Me too.
And now it's time for your Takova's Don't Go Gently tip for this weekend. This Sunday, head to Cheekwood from 4 to 9 p.m. for the Japanese moon viewing in partnership with the Japanese Consulate and Japan American Society of Tennessee. Enjoy origami and other crafts, traditional tea ceremonies, Japanese music and dancing, and don't forget to stop by the Blevins Japanese Garden while you're there. Don't go gently, go into Takova's. And here to tell you a little bit more about this very cool sounding event is one of our favorite guests, Melanie Ching of Music City Uke Fest. Melanie grew up in Japan and works with the Japanese community here in Nashville, teaching English as a second language, and she's a volunteer at Cheekwood. She's so excited about this moon viewing, and as usual, her enthusiasm is contagious. So what exactly is a moon viewing and the cultural significance there?
Otsukimi is the Japanese moon viewing to kind of honor the harvest moon coming up. Also in Japan, they have what's called hanami, which is sakura viewing. So they really promote their cultural heritage and these kind of events. So that's why it's so nice to see that Nashville has this. Of course, supported by the Consulate General of Japan here.
Can you tell me what an authentic tea ceremony would be like?
So first of all, when you approach the tea house, there is some water dripping and you have to cleanse your hands from, the water. You have to go into the tea ceremony little house by getting on your knees, of course, and scooting in, crawling in through a low door. Then you sit on your knees, and to serve tea ceremony, I have the implements too. You have to pick up the bowl a certain way. You have to pour the tea and put the tea in, and then pick up the bowl and use a whisk and whisk it. And then when you serve the tea to someone, you have to turn the bowl a certain way and serve it to them. And they take it, turn the bowl, and drink it. So it's a whole involved, really dating way back tradition of tea ceremony. It was quite an experience. If you can go to this moon viewing and take part, because they ask people to take part in the tea ceremony and they will serve you tea. And they serve usually a little piece of a sweet on the side of the tea. Because Japanese tea typically is bitter, right?
Oh.
It's green tea or matcha tea, green tea, which is a little on the bitter side. The Cheekwood Garden, Japanese garden, is so beautiful. There's a big article in their Cheekwood newsletter of how they got the Japanese landscape architect, and it was a collaboration over so many years to get this Japanese garden at Cheekwood, but it's so beautiful. And so I just encourage people to go and see. It's really a collaboration between Japan's official Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism, MLIT, and Cheekwood to do a big renovation. It's just very peaceful, serene. There's a pavilion that you can actually go to and sit in. And now they recently made the renovation so it's ADA accessible also.
Oh, cool.
And there's a bamboo forest on the side if you do the walking path into the Japanese garden. There's the rock garden with the sand that is sculptured and Japanese trees and plants. It's beautiful.
Love it. Well, we're looking forward to the festival. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. And ありがとうございます。本当にありがとうございます。Thank you. Thank you very much. さようなら. Bye.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Our executive producer is Whitney Pastrek, our producer is Marie Cecile Anderson, and our Hey Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury. Our theme music is by Prof. Jenkins. And if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news around the city. Bye!